Don't get me wrong.
So a lady called Rova said men's mental health matters. If men's mental health mattered to men, they'd be creating safe space for themselves and each other, pursuing therapy, creating community. Instead, they perpetuate the very behavior system that have handicapped them, in the first place. Wow. Refuse to support or create community amongst each other, severe damage the woman in their life, and attack women online for not doing that work for them in replies to tweets like the one below. I'm like, whoa. This person didn't reply to you. They just called out men's mental health matters. What is wrong for saying that? So ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about men's mental health because we live in a situation where we don't have a space. People tell us that we don't want to share the space, and then when we tell them why we don't want to share the space, somebody is going to tell us, well, the space that you're currently losing right now that you left and made by yourself, we need to be included and you need to get out of that space. It's like the things that work for women really must work for men. Do you think all the thing for men really works for women? If we're going to talk about abortion, period cramps, rape, are we included in that conversation? Unless I can identify in a specific way, I can be in a specific prison with you. I find it actually even more funnier that in the community, they're like, hey man, look, there's even a law passed. We can provide you the link. It exists.
Some Korean men are refusing to help women. A few days ago, a woman in her 20s lost consciousness and fainted when she was on the subway. Apparently, there were a bunch of men in their 20s and 30s who refused to help, and saying something to the extent of, it has nothing to do with me. According to the Korean woman, the reason being, all able-bodied Korean men have to serve military service. They do learn CPR in the military. So it was expected for men in their 20s and 30s who likely just got out of the military to jump in and help because they know how to do CPR. But a lot of the men on the train didn't. And their reason being, they did not want to be accused of sexual harassment.
People like you made it literally impossible for men to have any spaces, hobbies, clubs, interest groups, or social spaces of their own. People like you mandated that women must be included in everything they think and do. And now people like you berate them for not having the very things they're prevented from having. I'm like, wow.
There were a few incidents where men were actually accused for sexual harassment for trying to help the women. Back in 2014, a South Korean woman had actually tried to sue a male EMT paramedic for doing CPR and doing chest compressions on her. Though the paramedic wasn't charged or convicted with anything, since he was reported, he still had to go through an investigation.
In all honesty, the only successful men's podcast that I've seen for women is podcasts that never talk negatively about women. But surprising, many podcasts of women are successful because they talk negatively about men. And that's why you get this meme, the circular diversity. At first, we demand to be included in your space to make it more diverse and inclusive. Okay, we demand you to change this space to our liking and ban stuff that offends us. Okay, we demand you be kicked out of this space we created supposedly for you, but you're out since you offended us. Wow, lol, if you hate us, why not just make your own space? And it keeps happening over and over. There are no places right now on TV compared to back in the day where men can talk about men stuff. It's non-existent. And if you try to exist, you have to be freaking independent in a place that everybody can control it other than men. But then comes the hero, the man that actually agrees with this situation. Isn't the problem right now that we're too segregated in our own spaces? Should we just want more environment where men and women are interacting with each other? I don't have an issue with that. The problem is the way we interact, we always need to adapt our ways to them. Maybe you're speaking for yourself when you say you don't want women included in any of these spaces. I want women included in these spaces, and a lot of people wouldn't mind having women included in those spaces. The problem is you have decided that one person that says, I'm offended, we need to cater to that person. A man cannot say he is offended. People will tell you, you felt offended because it's your feeling and you're a misogynist and about a beam boom bash. And the problem with the whole situation is that Critical Drinker responded with a unique message, unnecessarily by my taste, but I get his point. Because by his perspective, it's like the way that Destiny speaks, he's supposed to be an intelligent man and he knows what they mean. As Destiny is a person that one time called the cops because her wife was doing something interesting and they treated him as if he's the evil person because he's a man. And it's a very unfair system. And while understanding that, he still panders to the other side. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? And he put a picture of his wife dancing with another man in the room. And he was like, oh my God.
You watched Critical Drinker's Why Hollywood Hates Men video, and were critical on the vagueness of his statements and selectiveness of movies he used. Thoughts on the types of movie reviews on YouTube, on those types of movie reviews on YouTube right now?
This is my take. When I feel like people are reviewing movies from a political lens,
I don't think the question was that, but you already made it political.
I'm skeptical about 6 million for the Holocaust.
Yeah.
There is a good conversation to be had, but it is almost never by the people asking those types of questions.
Yeah.
The fans that have watched all the other movie made them successful for a specific reason, because we like certain things. Suddenly, you change the narrative. Message. And if I don't like that and be like, I'm not interested in that, you hunt me down and remind me you are a specific person because you don't like that movie. And that doesn't have an effect over time. If I generally like to review movies,
I think you could have a fascinating conversation about historical events or about political themes in movies. I think you could have really cool conversations about it. But it feels like for these people, the political narrative is set in stone, and then that's retrofit. Like, rather than like a political narrative or political lens being a way that you might view a movie, the movies just become a vehicle for you to talk about whatever you feel.
I can watch a movie and not look it through a political lens. But any opinion I give, you're telling me you don't like it because of a political lens that you think I'm having. That's the problem. There's so many movies I like that are political in a weird way, but like, hey, the effect is good. I can still enjoy it. I can just ignore that part. Just don't be that political. But the reason I give it a 7 and not a 9 just like you, oh, why? Why don't you like the Barbie movie? I don't know. It seems like you're throwing something in my face and I'm like, that's weird. I felt more identified with Ken, the one that you called incel, because hey, nobody likes him. He tries to get your attention. Oh, you like Ken? Are you misogynist? Why? Why should I agree? But I'm not allowed to say it's a feminist movie. No, it's not. Oh, then why are they raging about men? Barbie was never about hating men. I'm like, oh, it's just a movie. It's like you're moving the goalpost 24/7, and it's frustrating. I'm like, don't tell me I'm making it political for not watching it, because by that sense, you made it political. I don't like it because I think it's boring. Why?
Capture an algorithm.
Yeah, so like if you feel like women are shitting on men in society, well, then you're going to look at movies and go, okay, well, Barbie, jokes about men, bullshit. Captain Marvel, doesn't need a man harbor, bullshit. Tar, movie about a woman musician, bullshit. Like, it's just everything becomes that. And rather than having, like, I think what could be a legitimately interesting conversation about the roles of men and women in film and the replaceability of different characters or whatever, a lowest common denominator of film critique, of any type of critique.
Wow, it turns out that literally everything I watch supports this belief that I have and propagate on the channel.
It was such a journey. I think the making of the project was such a journey, and it tells the story of this incredible journey.
It becomes explanatory for every single thing in the world that I happen to not like. Yeah,
it's just a given. You already know because you're watching the channel.
And it's just the lowest level of engagement.
The artists literally say, this is what I represent. Not a good story, but this is going to be inserted in the story, and that's why it's good. And white men are bad because always white men are bad, and all the evil characters, the white man is bad. It's like, I wonder who is the bad. Oh, the white man.
And it's like,
it's lazy.
Yeah, and it's not even like, or at least from what, and I will say, I'll carefully say this because maybe there's some types of this commentary or critique that I haven't watched, but it's rare that I watch something like this and I'm like, oh, that is really interesting. This could have been shot way differently or written way differently, or something could have changed in this film that would have made it substantially better that the creator's like political vision was interfering with.
I'm told, I've seen the first episode, but Agatha is the gayest Marvel project yet. Do you agree?
It better be, because that's what I signed up for. I think it is.
I'd love to see Marvel's market research on how many lesbians watch WandaVision and wanted Agatha Harkness spin-off. There must be 10 millions of them.
It's usually more just like, this movie sucks and there's a woman there or a trans person, and it would have been way better if not, because I'm going to compare it to this other movie that is a totally different film.
And you're forgetting maybe the selling point is because they just said it. That's the point. I actually have a friend that's very pro-LGBTQ, and she even once told me, I don't understand why on Netflix almost everybody is almost not hetero. That she was like, you're pushing it too much, and even I'm calling you out.
It's like,
I'm familiar with this action movie from the 80s that everybody unanimously loves.
Yeah, loved.
Why aren't they making the same movie again forever?
And that's a good point. And these days, instead of making your own movie, what do? You steal the IP, remake the movie, and you just make the characters with what? The thing that you say you're not adding into the movie, but if I call it out for seeing it in the movie, I'm the bad person.
Is the main criticism, really?
Yeah, so I think it's worthless.
Much like most of your opinions.
Yeah.
I think it's without value, and I think it cheapens like critical thought of or critical evaluation of a particular medium, whether it's film or anime or whatever the fuck else. And it just becomes like a circle jerk for people to, view their political narratives and whatever fucking stuff they're consuming, basically. Yeah.
And it goes in a direction that I'm like, I would not make that decision. I would not make that decision. That's kind of weird. That's kind of stupid. Hey, this movie sucks. I don't feel identified in the movie. 7, 6, good effects, but I don't like the way they think. You're a misogynist. What do you like in the movie that you said it's just a woman or a trans figure? What do you like? You never say what you like, why it's a best, why it needs a 9, other than the person is in there.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam. Durlo que ta verdetta welcome.